Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Kansas Speedway. Glad to be here for an exciting weekend of racing. We'll start our availability this morning with Matt Kenseth, driver of the number 17 Crown Royal Ford, who sits 7th in points, 2 wins this season. Matt, just talk about your thoughts on the chase thus far and coming into Kansas this weekend.
It's been good so far for us from a performance standpoint. So we've been pretty fast. We've been had top 5 cars, I think, all 3 weeks, and have pretty good finishes the last 2 weeks. So far, it's been all right.
Okay, we'll open it up for questions for Matt. Please raise your hand. We'll get a wireless mic to you. We'll start right here with Lewis.
You should be first for sure.
Lewis Frank Reuters. The media, maybe I'll blame it on broadcast media more than print media, likes to call the chase after 2 races, but we saw after Dover it's still wide open. Do you guys pay any attention to what you read or see on TV?
No, not a lot. No, I mean, last week I went in and, everybody's asking, they're saying, oh, Jimmy's out of it, Jimmy's out of it. I'm thinking he's won the last however many Dover races, so I thought that was kind of interesting after 2 races because you can have some pretty wild point swings. So obviously the farther you get down the road, you can probably start looking at it and see who you think is probably more legitimate than others. But there's a lot of cars that are still pretty close right now. I mean, it's pretty, I think it's pretty early to be eliminating anybody.
Okay, we'll take our next question. Kenny's next, right here.
Kenny Bruce of Scene Daily. Matt, you said you guys have run pretty good, been pretty happy with what you've done. Do you feel like you need to be better, and anywhere specifically, or do you just hope you can maintain where you're at?
Well, I think our car performance I've been super happy with the first 3 races. I mean, we haven't finished those 3 races, really any of them except for maybe New Hampshire, to our best run or our potential for that day. I think Chicago, we run a pole and we led a little bit. We're leading the last restart and knew we didn't have enough gas, so we had to slow down and still ran out. So, I mean, I think we would have had a top 3 there. Everything being equal, if the caution would have came out 5 laps later, so we all could have made it on fuel, I think we would have had top 3, without something weird going on. And New Hampshire, that was a really good run and finish for us. And at Dover, there was one run there where we had, the best car by far and ran Jimmy down, and then for whatever reason we changed tires and, got a little bit behind and finished 5th. So I'm really encouraged by how we run. We just the biggest thing I guess we got to improve is we got to finish it off just a little bit better. Whatever our best run of the day is, and best stop and best restart and best performance and all that stuff needs to be the last run of the day, and we just need to get the finishes a little bit better.
Okay, go ahead with our next question.
Yeah, Randy Kovich, Kansas City Star. When do you get to a point where people start getting eliminated and it becomes crucial that teams that are sitting 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th need to step it up? Well,
I mean, I got to be honest, I haven't really even looked at it, but you take one race, for me, I take one race at a time. Try to bring, get your car to run as fast as you can and try to get the best finish you can that week. And I'm not really worried about what everybody else is doing. All you can do is control your own car and your own team, and to a certain extent, most of the time, the outcome, of that race or your effort. So I don't really worry about that yet, until you're mathematically eliminated or almost mathematically eliminated. I mean, I think you always feel like you have a shot because you never know what can happen. I mean, Chicago's a perfect example. I mean, it's a pretty normal track like this, and it's a pretty normal race. And then the way the caution fell and not having another caution, I mean, a lot of the guys that ran really good got really poor finishes because of fuel, and some guys you didn't see all day and probably ran, in the bottom half of the teens, you got great finishes and moved up into points. So you just don't know what's going to happen. You can still have pretty big swings. A lot of strange things has happened before.
Okay, we'll take our next question from Shannon and Mike.
I actually have 2. Shannon Spake, ESPN. Do you sort of follow up on his question? I know that you don't technically count yourself out till you're mathematically eliminated or whatever you said, but is there a point, like maybe after Talladega?
Whatever I said. Thanks, Shannon.
Is there a point like after Martinsville or after Talladega that you kind of look at, maybe the top 4, the top 5, and say, all right, it's crunch time now. It's time to go?
Well, I think it's always time to go. I mean, I don't think you take any of the races off or be like, well, it's not a big deal. It's still early. I mean, I think I know every point in every race is, equally as important. So, but I'm sure when the farther you get down the road, I mean, you can look at people. I hope I'm not one of them, but you can look at cars and you can see how many points they're behind, and you can probably, pretty much put them out, barring a miracle, especially the more cars that are in front of you. It's hard to make up points on more than a few cars, at times. But I think it's At least I think it is. Like I said, I haven't really looked at it, but I think it's still pretty darn close. And I think it'll stay pretty close for a while. But like you say, you never know what's going to happen.
I know you guys are focused on your program, but I'm wondering if you could just talk about Carl being the points leader, you know, being your teammate, kind of what you're seeing out of that team right now.
Yeah, I mean, Carl's ran pretty well. I mean, I don't think he's ran much better than us just off of performance. I mean, I think we passed him 3 times at New Hampshire, and Chicago I think we ran a little better, and we ran out of gas and he didn't, and was able to stretch it there at the end. And Dover he ran a little better most of the race. So I mean, I think we've ran about the same, but Carl's been able to get all the finishes, and the main reason he got the finish, you know, at Chicago was he was kind of back farther in the field and just was able to save some gas and you know, coast it to the end, which is important. You got to be good at all aspects of it these days. That didn't used to come into play a lot, but it has lately. So I mean, you got to have the performance, but you also have to be able to have the economy when you need it, and the pit strategy when you need it, and all that kind of stuff. And they've been pretty rock solid all year. I mean, they've been in position to win a lot of races. They've been up front a lot of races and have had a lot of good finishes. So certainly, I think they're one of the guys you got to think about.
Okay, our next question from Mike.
Mike Muller, MikeMuller.net. The National Hockey League is opening this season, this week, I believe, and the star player is still out with a concussion from like January. You guys used to get concussions all the time, get your bell rung and all that, but we haven't seen that much lately. When was the last time you had a concussion that you said, wow, need to sit out for a day or two or something like that? That just doesn't happen in the sport anymore, it doesn't seem like.
What'd you just say? I forgot. I'm kidding. Thanks for bringing that up, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, knock on wood, I hope nobody has that bad luck, including me. Now that you just brought it up, but I've never had one, so I don't know.
You've never had a concussion?
Not to my knowledge. Not yet.
Additional questions for Matt? We'll take one from Randy, come back up to Lewis, and Kenny.
I would have never guessed that was going to be your question. Never guessed it.
Well, you'll never guess this one either. But speaking of another sport, how you like the Packers' chances at Atlanta this week?
Oh, I thought you were going to ask me if my hammy was okay, if I pulled a hammy running up here or something. Packers, gosh, they're one of the only 4-0 teams. Who would have thought the Lions would be the other one? So, yeah, I mean, it's always been fun being a Packer fan, but especially the last few years, you know, as good as they've been playing. So, yeah, I'm hoping we'll get to see most of the game, you know, on Sunday night. Look forward to checking that out and them going back to Atlanta. I think it'll be a high-scoring game and get indoors with nice weather. Rodgers seems to be able to light it up pretty good.
Okay, go ahead, Lewis.
Yeah, Lewis Frank Reuters again. Forgive me, I don't remember if I saw a quote from you from the Phoenix test, so I don't know if you were there, but I was wondering about what your impressions were of having an altered track as the next to last race in the Cup. How does that affect you? Probably more your crew chief and engineers, but how does that affect you having a new track configuration to race on?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the same for everybody, but the configuration is pretty nice. They did an excellent job of paving it. It's really smooth. Pit road is really nice. I guess the only thing that's probably concerns you is when we started out on track, it's so dirty you could run a 30 flat, and by the time we were done, people were running 26 flats basically, just a round number. And if you got out of the groove at all, you were pretty much going to wreck. I don't know what they did, but it's just so dusty and dirty, and I almost hope they get that big Texas tire monster or something running around the outside and stuff before we get there and get that stuff wore out of the pavement, whatever it is. But other than that, it's really nice. So hopefully by the time they run all the other support races and we get all the practice, hopefully it'll widen out so you can get 2 grooves. Because right now the entries especially and the exit of 4 is really, really narrow, and you can't get up out of that at all. So, but once it burns in and everything, I think it'll be nice. They did a nice job with it.
Okay, Kenny.
Kenny Bruce, Scene Daily. Running 2 races here this year. Is this race going to be vastly different from the first race here? Are you going to be able to use a lot of stuff that you used in the first race? Is it going to transfer? What can people expect?
I don't see any reason why it would be a lot different. I don't think there's been a lot of changes. I don't know the weather's that much different, and it's not that hasn't been that long since we ran here, and I think they got the same tire and all that stuff. So I don't expect it to be a lot different. Usually here in Chicago and some of them tracks you race once a year at, you pretty much forget the previous year and show up there and kind of start over because it's been so long and so many things change. But I don't expect it to be a lot different.
Any other questions for Matt? Okay, we'll take one.
Hi, Bailey Atkinson, University Daily, Kansas, KU. I guess just a question about college students trying to, I know NASCAR is trying to get more of a younger audience, especially like in the teen 20 range. What is your team kind of doing to get a younger audience, and like what is something that you would say to students to try to get more involved in NASCAR?
Well, I don't think our race team or me specifically does anything else to try to, it's part of it that I don't really, how do I put it, not that I don't worry about it, but that's not something that we do. We just focus, the race team that you see in the garage here, we just focus on trying to get that car to go fast and trying to win and trying to win for this try to run for this championship, and it's got us about maxed out. I don't know what they do to try to attract them. I mean, I see a lot of younger guys that go to the race. My son is actually a freshman in Clemson. He's got a lot of buddies there that are race fans, and they all try to go to Atlanta. Of course, it rained out, but so I think there's a lot of interest there. I mean, a little bit. I've been around there. He's, like I said, he's got a lot of buddies there and knows a lot of people that are race fans there that enjoy watching it.
Okay. Any question? Okay, another one from Mike in the back.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
I'd like to follow up on that because we were talking with Dennis McGlynn last week, promoter at Dover, and he was saying that one way to get to a younger audience is to have guys like Matt get on Twitter and do the social media thing and talk up, hey, my dad was doing great last weekend, or he crashed out last week or whatever, and get the kids of the race drivers doing some social media for NASCAR. Does Matt have a Twitter account?
Matt does, yeah. Ross does too. Yeah, we both do.
So does your son do a lot of that, or is he?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, he does. But like I say, that's kind of the promoter's job to figure that out too, and NASCAR and everybody else. And certainly, when we have meetings and they have suggestions how you can reach out to the fans better, you can get more people interested, or keep the people happy that you have and all that. I mean, certainly we always listen to that, and we always try to do do what we think is the best for the sport, get people interested in the sport and get people to watch it, get people to hopefully come out to the track and be part of that.
All right, final question for Matt. All right, Matt, thank you very much for your time this morning.
Matt.
Good luck this weekend.